Live from the Grenadian capital, this is the GBN television news. GBN, covering you from the Grenadine Island chain to Brooklyn, New York, via the World Wide Web on www.gbn.gd.
The news headlines is brought to you compliments GUT Credit Union. Members of the GUT Credit Union and the general public are advised that regular operations have resumed at the Carriacou branch, effective Thursday, May 5th, 2022. GUT Credit Union, it's where you belong.
This is the GBN television news for today, Thursday, May 5th, 2022. I am Beverly Telesford.
And I'm Kenroy Baptiste. In the headlines, Police Commissioner vows to take action against lawmen found guilty of sexual harassment of female officers.
Coast Guard officers sent on leave pending the outcome of investigations into the death of Kimon Bell.
The National Democratic Congress outlines pension plans if elected into government.
Prime Minister Mitchell calls for collaboration to tackle national issues. For what's coming up in sports and around the globe, we head over to Zia Fedrick.
Thank you, Beverly. Good evening, viewers and listeners. I am Zia Fedrick. Here's what's coming up in regional news. British Virgin Islands residents protest in the streets to condemn UK direct rule plan. Internationally, Ukraine President Zelensky calls for a longer truce to evacuate Mariupol civilians. And coming up in sports, Brunswick United emerged champions of the Quabank Carriacou T20 tournament. I'll be back with the details to these and other stories a little later in the newscast. But first, let's go back to Beverly.
Thank you, Zia. Details after this message.
The first segment of the news comes to you compliments Soft Weave Bathroom Tissue.
Have you heard about the new Soft Weave bathroom tissue with total hygiene? As hygiene and safety have taken center stage, our bathroom tissue is now manufactured with 3 different technologies to offer the best protection for you and your family. UVC light technology for a safe and effective disinfection process, eliminating 99.9% of microorganisms. Also, production at high temperatures, killing all types of germs and bacteria. And it's pH controlled with delicate fibers to prevent irritation for even sensitive skin. Hygiene bathroom tissue, available in supermarkets and shops island-wide. Visit Softweave Caribbean Facebook or Instagram pages for more information.
Thanks for joining us. A stern warning for police officers found guilty of sexually assaulting their female peers. The cautionary note has come from Commissioner of Police Edwin Martin. This has been an age-old complaint within the force. We get details on this development story from Christina John.
The Police High Command summoned a meeting with female officers Wednesday to hear complaints in the absence of the media. He explained the outcome of that engagement.
I also announced at that meeting the formation of a focal point of 3 senior women. The lone superintendent female, which is the most senior female in the police force, the head of the Special Victims Unit, and our staff officer, all of whom are female. This focal group has been advertised in the meeting for the females as the reference point and the go-to point to report any incident of ongoing issues of harassment or even instances in the past.
Who looks into the wrongdoings of the police? Shouldn't there be an independent body to investigate matters involving colleague officers? The question was posed to Commissioner of Police Edwin Martin during Thursday's media brief as the concern of transparency with allegations of sexual misconduct was brought to the fore.
To date, to date, I do not know, and I have not had any challenges anywhere about the weakness, the inappropriateness, the incompleteness, or the lack of competencies by our investigators. I think our investigators has done an admirable job in investigating all matters brought before them, including matters against police officers. Said that, I do know in public spheres and in many other jurisdictions the issue of having independent investigation of the police. I think that is a fashionable thing that person has, and maybe it has some sense, and I've said this before, some sense of merit in looking into it. But I cannot say that looking into it has merit because the police investigations have been deficient.
This follows recent reports of allegations by female officers who claim they feel violated by acts of sexual misconduct or harassment by some of their male colleagues. The head of police admits that there have been instances of such acts.
The cases that I've referred to, the cases that persons are suspended for such acts, are junior officers. And I believe that those cases, notwithstanding the claim that the matter is not being addressed in the police force, might be carried by the very said media houses that is saying that the matter is not being addressed. In the engagement with my females yesterday, they did indicate in some way of instances involving senior officers.
Dating back to 8 years ago, action of inappropriateness by the police came under the microscope, with some being prosecuted for violations.
To date, and dating back from 2014, a total of 8 officers have been charged with criminal-related incidents of sexual crimes, two of which are internal. Of those 8 cases, 4 have been concluded by the court and officers have been dismissed, one of whom is serving a sentence at a Majesty's prison.
The focus group will also be tasked with the training of officers on what is expected, accepted, and not accepted within the Royal Grenada Police Force. Christelina John, GBN News.
Coast Guard officers involved in a boating incident have been sent on leave pending the outcome of investigations. The regional security system has been co-opted to assist with the probe. 22-year-old Kimon Bell died following the run-in with the Coast Guard unit. We toggle back to Christelina John for another report from this morning's media briefing.
Officers involved in the Coast Guard incident 2 Sundays ago have been relieved from active duty as investigations have begun into the death of Woburn resident Kimon Bell. Commissioner of Police Edwin Martin addressed the issue during Thursday morning's media brief.
The officers involved in this incident, that part of the police patrol vessel at that point in time, are not on active duty, as they too experienced trauma out of the incident, and also we want them to be far away from the process of investigation to afford an added layer of comfort for transparency in the investigative process.
As a means of ensuring transparency into the investigation, the Police High Command disclosed that regional investigators were brought in, however, excluded the involvement of any official from the Grenada Coast Guard, as they are the subject of the investigation.
We've had 2 investigators from RSS arriving on island on Monday and working alongside our local investigators in addressing this matter. Why the RSS? Simply because for objectivity and transparency in the process of investigation, we did not want to request any support from the Maritime Administration for expertise, as the Maritime Administration is also carrying out its independent investigation in this matter separate and apart from the efforts of the police.
He explained what will follow based on the findings of this investigation.
I must indicate as well that at every stage of this process and decisions taken in the process, the Director of Public Prosecution has been consulted and engaged. Upon completion of the investigation on the police side, the file will be submitted to the DPP for consideration and his directive. It is important to note that any course of action to be taken in this matter will be decided by the DPP.
Commissioner Martin pleads for tranquility and good sense to prevail, allowing for a thorough investigation to be carried out. Meanwhile, the family and friends of Bell will stage another protest Friday morning, targeting the Coast Guard base. The parents of the deceased are adamant that they will not be silent until they get justice for their 22-year-old son. Last week's protest action in Tantin, St. George, had several altercations with police. Chrislina John, GBN News.
Other news to report. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell is calling for collaboration with the private sector to tackle issues that confront the general population. The rest of the details in this report.
The rising cost of living remains a challenge for people trying to make ends meet, and this has been exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic and Russia's invasion of Ukraine. In his most recent national address, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell said that while the economy has continued along the way to recovery, government is still not seeing the pre-pandemic numbers.
We need, like all other countries around the world, continue to experience inflationary pressure on imported goods and services because of dreaded war in Europe. In the 2022 budget, government started to address this challenge by introducing a number of cost of living measures. But we have continued to examine ways in which we can further alleviate the financial burden on the population, particularly as it relates to food items.
In an attempt to combat significant impact on people, the Prime Minister called on the private sector to assist.
Government will soon roll out additional measures, and tonight, therefore, I'm appealing to the business community to partner with us when we do, to ensure that the benefit reaches the people in keeping with our intentions. Sisters and brothers, government continues its efforts to mitigate the impact of rising food prices. And therefore, we must embrace the opportunity to boost food production and become less dependent on imports and to improve our country's food security. We must focus more on growing what we eat and eating what we grow.
Prime Minister Mitchell said government is determined to find fair solutions to complex problems.
There must be a greater understanding among competing interests in the society and an unshakable national unity that must bind us together so that we can better tackle today's challenges.
The Grenadian leader told the nation that as a people, we must choose to work together to find solutions that go beyond any political party, organization, or individual. He said people may disagree about many things, but the one thing we must all agree on is that the future is worth fighting for. Cherry and Blackman Stephen, GBN News.
This is Network News. Coming up from us, students of the Tiamarisha Community College join lecturers in protest for outstanding salary increases. We'll talk about that. We'll see you in a while.
The stage is set. The anticipation is high.
Are you feeling it?
As we get ready for a night of love. Saturday, May 7th at the National Cricket Stadium. Lovers of reggae, we welcome back to the Spice Isle the electrifying Taurus Riley. With full live band. Together with Dean Fraser on sax, known for his energetic performance. Lovers of dancehall, we welcome on stage Stylo G. From the 4th Jenna Camp, Governor. Also featuring local stars Dash, Vaughn, and Valley Ned. Get your early bird tickets for $100. Available at the usual Sunshine Promotion outlets and online at GoToFect.com. Stay connected to our social media pages for details on our stage side VIP. Gates open at 8 p.m. Showtime 10 p.m. It's a night of love. Brought to you by Sunshine Promotions.
Home is easy as 1, 2, 3.
Thinking about your new home? Think easy. Think of Republic Bank Home Easy Loan. Think affordable. Think convenience. Think Republic.
Home is easy as 1, 2, 3. Republic makes home easy.
Wow, that was such a breeze.
Own your home with ease.
So whether laying that first brick or purchasing an existing home, we've got you covered. Republic Bank will get you those keys hassle-free in no time.
Home is easy as 1, 2, 3.
Drop by any one of our 8 locations today. Getting your new home is easy with Republic Bank.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
If prosperity really matters to you, come home to Grenada Cooperative Bank. Since 1932, we have shared the same values: financial diligence, investing with prudence, transparent compliance, consistent performance.
Welcome home, Grenada.
No matter the economic climb, we always stand the test of time.
Welcome home, Grenada, the bank that goes the extra mile. Welcome home, Grenada, the bank that serves with a smile.
Welcome to a bank you can truly call your own. Grenada Cooperative Bank.
We care because you matter.
Co-op Bank. Welcome home.
Grenada, it's week 2 in the 4th edition of the Pure Grenada Cup. And on Saturday, 7th May, we're taking the action to the big parish, Victoria Park in Granville. From 7 p.m., Game 1, St. Patrick Crown City Strikers versus U17 Young Gunners. 9:30 p.m., St. David Top Strikers versus St. Andrew Big Parish Stores. Admission $20. Then on Sunday, we head to the Cuthbert Peters Park in Gore, where the St. John Dolphin will meet St. Mark Western Stars. Admission $10. The 4th edition of the Pure Grenada Cup is on. Don't miss it. Miss it. Miss it. Miss it.
Community Partnership Initiative, supporting education.
The project for our school is the expansion of the school feeding department and home economics department. Our previous kitchen area has been very small and sometimes it became congested. Therefore, we would like to say a heartfelt thank you to GBN for partnering with us in ensuring that we improve the quality of education that we provide here at Riverside Government School.
GBN, energizing our community.
My name is Trisha Maras. I am a proud member of the Ariza Credit Union. I chose to become a member of the Ariza Credit Union because I got some financial advice from a former boss who is a member of the financial institution, and that was the best decision of my life I made. What I like most about the Ariza Credit Union is the courteousness from the staff, the low interest rates, and the pension plan. How has Ariza helped me over the years? I had 2 dreams in this life. One is to sending my daughter off to university, and the other is achieving my dream home. So if Ariza can transform my life, it can transform yours. So if you're not yet a member of the Ariza Credit Union, come on down and be a member. Happy anniversary to the Ariza Credit Union. And thank you for the 75 years of transforming our lives.
GBN leads, the others follow. This segment is brought to you by Republic Bank.
Home is easy as 1, 2, 3.
Thinking about your new home? Think easy. Think a Republic Bank Home Easy Loan. Think affordable. Think convenience. Think Republic.
Home is easy as 1, 2, 3. Republic makes home easy.
Wow, that was such a breeze.
Own your home with ease.
So whether laying that first brick or purchasing an existing home, we've got you covered. Republic Bank will get you those keys hassle-free in no time.
Home is easy as 1, 2, 3.
Drop by any one of our 8 locations today. Getting your new home is easy with Republic Bank.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Welcome back to the news at 7. Political leader of the National Democratic Congress, Deacon Mitchell, has a pension plan. He announced it at a virtual town hall meeting on Wednesday. Top of his agenda, coming off the heels of International Workers' Day, are the issues relating to outstanding pension and gratuity, as well as workers' contributions to the National Insurance Scheme. Cherry and Blackman Stephen followed the proceedings and sent this report.
Focused on the recent High Court judgment on pension for public officers and the recent national address delivered by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell, the NDC leader opposed the establishment of an advisory committee on pension and instead suggested that government proceed to make payments to retirees effective from the date of the court judgment.
Addressing the pension payment for public workers is only the beginning of the process of transforming the working lives of Grenadians to ensure that upon their retirement, they in fact have a pension or a gratuity or can benefit from a retirement savings plan.
As he continues to outline the party's plans for the workers during the NDC's virtual town hall meeting on Wednesday, Mitchell shared his party's plans to make the pension payment if the NDC forms the next government.
Within 90 days of us assuming office, ascertain all of the public workers who are entitled to a pension. 2, ascertain how many of those workers have since passed to the great beyond so that we can assess the payment that has to be made to their estate.
While government sees the judgment on pension payment as having serious fiscal implications on the public's purse, the NDC looks on the positive side.
If $500 million is pumped into the economy of Grenada and placed in the hands of Grenadians, the first entity that will benefit from that is the government of Grenada. Because that money will be spent in Grenada. Our retirees will repair their homes, will be able to pay their bills, will be able to buy food, will be able to help their children and grandchildren go to school, study, etc. They will hire young people. They will create and make new businesses. All of that means the payment of VAT.
The regularization of contract workers is another issue the NDC intends to address.
The Congress commits to regularizing the status of contract workers who are working for the government and Imani workers who are working for the government within 12 months of assuming office.
Mitchell told the nation that what he seeks is a path for workers moving towards growth so that they can reap the benefits of their hard work upon retirement. In the interest of the workers, Mitchell called out the National Insurance Scheme to ensure that the government pays the NIS contribution of all its workers as mandated.
Like a pension, like a funeral death grant, be taken away from you by the government refusing to pay your NIS contributions. It is wrong, it is illegal, and the National Democratic Congress commits that on forming the next government, we will immediately cease the practice of requiring our employees to pay their own NIS.
Cherry and Blackman Stephen, GBN News.
All right, this story to report. Lecturers at the Tiamausha Community College were back on the picket line Thursday morning, but this time they were not alone as some students decided to lend their support. Albert Mitchell is calling on government to step in and bring some resolution to this long-standing issue of salary increases.
We feel at times that CC is like the bastard child.
The child that when he does well, you praise him. But outside of that, doing well, when he goes on his daily life, you have no interaction with him. As my colleagues would have highlighted, that TAMCC is a statutory body to some extent, but it is the government's responsibility to ensure, the Ministry of Education's responsibility to ensure that TAMCC functions as it should.
This week marks the second week since the lecturers at the Tiamasha Community College started protest action. Mitchell said it is time to address the issues affecting the institution.
Let's do something for TAMCC. So I will ask the administration to really come forward and sit on the table. We have the collective bargaining agreement to address. Let us sit and discuss the collective bargaining agreement. The outstanding increments to be paid, let us settle that issue once and for all. TAMCC has a financing problem. We cannot raise fees because the ministry says we cannot raise fees. So what could we do to raise the financing, necessary financing? The council feels that their hands is tied because the directive from the ministry says that they cannot do certain things. So we would love for the ministry, for the Minister of Education to really step in and really have a word and address the issues as they should be addressed and not pacify it, because all is not well at TAMCC, especially administratively.
Grenada and other Caribbean community member states continue to follow political developments in the British Virgin Islands, where the UK government is making a grab for power. The regional grouping believes that any action to suspend the House of Assembly in the BVI and impose direct rule from London would be inconsistent with the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. This evening, we bring you a report capturing the thoughts of the head of the Grenada Reparations Committee. The report was scheduled for airing last evening. However, we encountered some audio challenges, so we present the report at this time.
One must continue to support the position of the elected officials in the BVI and that of the CARICOM heads and the OECS heads with regards to condemning this recommendation made by a one-man commission set up by the British, recommending that the BVI returns to direct rule under the Crown.
That was Ambassador and Chairman of the Reparations Committee, Ali Gill. He described the British intent to enter the British Virgin Islands as disheartening.
This is a recommendation from a one-man committee set up by the British government, which, consistent with the statement issued by the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States and that of CARICOM, is a retrogressive position in today's day and age. In a period when we are speaking about reparations for the Atlantic slave trade, indigenous genocide against the indigenous peoples, the period of slavery and colonialism, it is disheartening at the very least for the British to even contemplate the recolonization of any Caribbean territory. That, of course, contradicts and contravenes the Resolution 1514 of 1960, which the United Kingdom has signed on to with regards to the independence of colonies.
Citing the intent of the British to recolonize these islands, such as Montserrat, Turks and Caicos, Caymans, and Bermuda, the ambassador believes a conversation needs to be had regarding their independence.
And something that has not been said, that recommendations, there's a slight undertone of racism in these recommendations, in the sense that the British has felt during the days of colonialism, after emancipation, all up to the 1930s and so on, that we Black people in the Caribbean are unable to govern ourselves. But we have demonstrated, independent countries of the Caribbean, of the CARICOM region, we have demonstrated that we have made a major success of the imperfections of the Westminster system of governance.
On Sunday, the British government released the report of the British Virgin Islands Commission of Inquiry, the COI, which cited cases of corruption in a number of government-led projects. The government of the BVI is said to have welcomed the recommendations for improving governance and the commitment to work with the United Kingdom to address the weaknesses identified in the COI report. The release of the report was brought forward in the advent of the arrest of the territory's Prime Minister. The Boris Johnson administration decided to take control of the BVI's affairs after Prime Minister Andrew Foy was arrested in Florida last Thursday by the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency. He was charged with drug trafficking and money laundering after undercover agents caught him in a string operation set in motion last October. Grenada's Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell is among CARICOM leaders citing the move as regression. Christelina John, GBN News.
Well, it's time to turn our attention to what has been creating a buzz on social media.
GBN Social Buzz is reaching beyond the local platform to share with you what's trending on social media. We browse the World Wide Web and bring to you the topics inciting the most reaction and debate among users. On Wednesday, GBN aired a report where it confirmed that a company based in St. Lucia secured the bid for the Molinaire Land Slippage Restoration Project.
This project has been awarded to a construction company, an OECS construction company out of St. Lucia. That company is in the name of Construction and Industrial Equipment Limited. They have been awarded the Molinaire Landslip Restoration Project. We are now finalizing contract arrangements with the said contractor, and they will be mobilizing during the month of May with a view to commence infrastructure work sometime in June.
Our viewers and listeners shared their opinions on the matter in the comment section of our Facebook page. The following views are of the members of the public and not necessarily of the GBN. Teddy said, "All you ain't realize, most of the companies in Grenada are already saturated with jobs. Now some would see that because they would say nothing is going on in the country. Ask Kenny's Trucking, etc. Look at the amount of SL trucks on the road daily. Where do you think they are going? I know it's not lime they're liming. Equipment will have to be brought in because what's here is already engaged and the time factor is of importance. Don't let politics cloud your thinking." Dione said, "I mean, it's not rocket science. They have the skill, so they won the bid. The real question here is why are Grenadian construction companies lacking or do not have the exposure to such skills, machinery, etc. Enlightenment around the corner. Grenada needs to catch up. At this point, not internationally, but the OECS. #change. Thompson added, "I'm sorry for those Grenadian companies. One thing, they like too much money and they can't handle those kinds of work. Look around Grenada. All those big road projects are being done by foreign companies. Grenada only produces helpers to get the work done. Get the road fixed. It's time to start." Michelle said, "If you people will listen instead of having the worst to say." He said there were requirements the local companies did not present. Why are you mad? Business is business. If the St. Lucian company can get it done, kudos. Why we always have the worst to say and don't come for me, because not me that cut Jesus' slippers. Zion chimed in, "The task to restore that site takes more than engineers and skilled labor. The equipment and material involved in this work, there isn't any Grenadian company able to do that because they don't have the resources readily available. Hence, their bid was higher than the St. Lucian company. This type of work have special needs, especially specialized cranes and pile driving equipment, which no construction company in Grenada has." Finally, Smolax added, "You could never please mankind. It's an open bid and the company with the better proposal won. It has Grenadian companies working in other islands, example, Foray Heavy Equipment Company, One Call Construction, etc. On the other hand, if the project given to a local company will complain and say they are giving it to their friends to profiteer, corruption, etc. Let's pray that the project can happen and we, the Grenadian people, get value for our money, while some normalcy will be restored within the area in terms of the road users." That's what's buzzing tonight. We encourage you, our viewers and listeners, to submit your think pieces on trending topics locally, regionally, and internationally via our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Continue to share your thoughts and concerns with us on our social media platforms.
We're going to take a break, but still to come from us, as the rainy season nears, residents in flood-prone areas are told to prepare adequately. This is News at 7.
David Moya Monroe presents a tribute to Mom on Mother's Day. It's an afternoon of musical enchantment as we celebrate Mom through the pulsating rhythms of New Dimension, Angel Harps, and Comancheros steel orchestras. Celebrating Mom. There's also attractions for the kids. Yes, bouncing castle, face painting, as well as your favorite animated friends. Join the celebration on Mother's Day at Grand Mall Playing Field. It's a tribute to Mom as we celebrate life, living with the angels and queens among us. No vending allowed at this event.
Hey man, when we come online, you only juking up your phone.
Yeah boy, now as I say, they have an app. I can't find it. I check Play Store. I do a Google search. I can't find it. Man, I get fed up, man.
Nah man, because you look in the wrong place. The app is web-based. You access it via your web browser, right? You can add it to your home screen or your desktop, like any regular app. Watch, look, I have it on my phone, right? And you can access it or add it to any device, your computer, your tablet, any device.
Well, how am I doing that and I can't find it?
All you have to do is open your browser, right? And type mobile.nawasa.gd. And voila, you see?
Just so?
Yes, and you can download it or access it via the web. Once you have a reliable internet connection, right, you can run the app anywhere, anytime.
So, how I adding that to my home screen?
You click on those three dots, right, or your web browser setting, and look for the option to install app or add to home screen. Easy peasy. The Nawasa app is versatile, fast-paced, and always up to date because it's web-based. Once a change is made to the app, it updates automatically, no hassle.
Mobile.nawasa.gd, your customer support companion.
A message from Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority on the occasion of the International Composting Awareness Week.
Hi, I'm Romeo Felix. At St. George's Methodist School, composting is a big deal. The students are always excited when it is composting day. We place organic waste in the composter or in a special area on the school compound. We later use the compost in the school garden. Yes, we have won many prizes for composting, but most of all, we have learned the valuable lessons of reusing, reducing, and recycling. Composting is the way to go. Happy International Composting Week.
A message from Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority on the occasion of the International Composting Awareness Week. Southern Electrical, you get the best value, quality products, and expert advice. We are the #1 supplier of residential, commercial, and industrial electrical products in Grenada. View our latest arrivals of wall lights for interior and exterior, beautiful chandeliers, pendants, solar motion lights, kitchen appliances such as crispy air fryer ovens, crepe makers, countertop grills, and more. Visit Southern Electrical at Dusty Highway, Grand Down, St. George. We also ship to Carriacou and Petit Martinique. Call or telephone number 444-3042, WhatsApp 405-4993, or browse our website www.segrenada.com.
Introducing Color by Sissons. 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 Color by Sissons.
Level of convenience and comfort awaits you when you shop at Rise and Shine Supermarket and Hardware Supplies, Griffin Lane, Grenville. Convenient, because we are open Sunday to Sunday. We're even at your service on public holidays. Comfort, because we are easily accessible to the physically challenged. Free Wi-Fi is available while you shop, and bags come at no charge. Everyday low prices and excellent customer care. Adequate parking available. We supply everything you can possibly think of. Family and home supplies, fresh meat, vegetables, and personal care products. All brands of cooking gas at affordable prices. You can send in your order, have it pulled, or pick up express.
What does it take to be an amazing woman? Lots of me time. Amazing women are classy, fancy, and a little sassy. It's the drink for me. Cheers! Sometimes you've got to show them who's boss. Alpha male? Nah, alpha females are more amazing. Cheers to securing the bag. We make time for ourselves, for work, friends, and we certainly make time for passion. We're simply amazing. Amazing cream liqueur for the amazing woman in you.
Welcome back. Residents in flood-prone areas are urged to be on the alert as the rainy season draws near. The call comes from the Minister for Infrastructure Development. The rainy season is set to begin in less than a month, and the island has already begun experiencing a few wet spells over the last few days. During Tuesday's post-cabinet briefing, Minister for Infrastructure Development, Senator Nolan Cox, put residents in slide-prone areas on alert as the rainy season approaches.
Just alerting residents to be very vigilant as we commence with the rainy season. We know that a number of slides, Grenada is prone to slides in some of the areas, some of the key areas, and also flooding.
Senator Cox is appealing to members of the public to not turn a blind eye to areas they believe show potential for flooding and land slippage.
We want to alert the public, persons who use the roadway on a daily basis, to continue to be vigilant, report any incidents that you may see, any area of potential risk. Please report to the Ministry of Infrastructure so that we can reach out and respond appropriately to bring any redress to any potential hazards.
The Infrastructure Minister provided an update on the ministry's flood mitigation study, which began in January.
And just to give a quick update on a flood mitigation study that is currently ongoing. That study is definitely looking at the targeted areas, that is St. George, the tongue of St. George and Granance, Morne Rouge area, and the tongue of Grenville, where we have consistent, it's a chronic flooding issue. So we have a study ongoing. That study has commenced in January. I just wanted to update the public to let them know that study is ongoing, and we will close that study after 12 months.
The rainy season commences on June 1st and will last for 6 months.
All right, Grenville, the town of St. Andrew, has always been prone to flooding, especially during the rainy season. During Tuesday's post-cabinet briefing, Minister for Infrastructure Development, Senator Nolan Cox, explained the reason for the excessive flooding in the area and why the town is part of his ministry's flood mitigation study.
As it stands, Grenville in itself, the town of Grenville, is below sea level. And that is something that no engineering can change unless we decide to raise all the buildings and the whole area in the town of Grenville. So that is something that we must keep foremost in our mind, that the town of Grenville is below sea level. And when you have situations like that in a built-up area, and if you have an incident, or when you have an incident of high tide and heavy downpour, you are going to have challenges in terms of outflows of runoff water. The town of Grenville is mainly a concrete area. A lot of it is hard surfaces, whether it's person's yard, and that in itself is a catchment. And obviously, more water is going to run off than ever.
Now, from the thought process to the visual impact, it's time to take a peek through the GBN ISOR lens.
A good eye captures all. GBN ISOR is brought to you by Clear Vision.
Life is beautiful if only you can see it. Clear Vision Eye Center helps you do just that. We We provide expert service, classy eyewear, and cutting-edge technology, all with a quality customer experience. See better, feel better, and look better. Meet us today at clearvisiongrenada.com or call 444-0055, WhatsApp 409-0055, or follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Clear Vision Eye Center. Let's see life and the world with a clear vision.
Tonight's ISA reporter is hopeful that tonight's ISA can conjure some reaction out of the relevant authorities. He says while scrolling through social media, he came upon a post which, although gathered some laughing reactions, ought to be taken seriously. The post requested the relevant authorities to not turn a blind eye to derelict vehicles around public institutions, as a vehicle last registered in 2018 was photographed parked near the General Hospital. This suggests that the vehicle has been there for the past 4 years. What are your thoughts on the matter? Tell us when you send your photo and video submissions via WhatsApp on 405-3052 or our other social media platforms. Stay with us. The weather and sports are up next.
We support you at every stage of your life.
For business,
for your education,
for your financial freedom,
for that new ride.
Upgrade your life with the Communal. Contact us today.
Let's start the new year on a high, a detox high, because it's detox time again at Nirvana Detox Center and Natural Health Store. Check out our many detox packages starting from $100 or get 15% off on colonic irrigation therapy. Detoxing can help with liver and blood cleansing, weight loss, constipation, acid reflux, kidney stones, heavy metal removal, gas and bloating, and more. Call or WhatsApp us on 231-6642, 418-7115, or 449-7753. Ask about our delivery options. Visit us now. Bruce Street Mall, store number 1208, or Belmont St. George's, close to the Fall Edge area. Our opening hours are Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Nirvana Detox Center and Natural Health Store. Detox your way to health. These specials ends on March 31st or while stocks last.
When you need your prescription filled or you require non-prescribed medication, supplements, or all your personal needs, visit Gittins Healthcare at locations on Wall Street, Grand Anse, Victoria Street, Granville, and Central Deputy Street, Wall. Gittins Healthcare aims to provide an exceptional personalized pharmacy experience. Additionally, children under 5 and adults 55 years and over will enjoy 10% discount on purchases of $20 and over on prescription medication. Stop settling for less. Visit Gittins Healthcare, where your health is our priority.
Starting from $100 or get 15% off on colonic irrigation therapy. Detoxing can help with liver and blood cleansing, weight loss, constipation, acid reflux, kidney stones, heavy metal removal, gas and bloating, and more. Call or WhatsApp us on 231-6642, 418-7115, or 449-7753. Ask about our delivery options. Visit us now. Bruce Street Mall, store number 1208, or Belmont St. George's, close to the Fall Edge area. Our opening hours are Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Nirvana Detox Center and Natural Health Store. Detox your way to health. These specials ends on March 31st or while stocks last.
Good evening, sporting fans. The Co-op Bank Haraku T20 Tournament 2022 edition came to a grand finale last weekend at the Lauriston Stadium, with Brunswick United emerging champion for a grand prize of $3,000. Noel Supply's Leicester Cricket Club was second runner-up, receiving $1,500, and the BBH Cricket Club received $800 for third position. In final matchup, Brunswick United defeated Leicester Cricket Club by 41 runs after amassing 182 for 7 in their 20 overs. Alden Moses smashed 76 runs, while Alex Moses hit 48 for Brunswick before Leicester was reduced to 141 all out in 17.4 overs. The MVP of the tournament went to Imran George, who was also awarded with the prize for most outstanding batsman, aggregating 386 runs with 2 centuries. Most outstanding bowler was awarded to Josh Phillip with 13 wickets, while the best wicket keeper went to Ricky Alexander, both from Leicester Cricket Club. Newly elected president of the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee, Diane Henderson, says we have to learn to adapt and give up some space. Henderson was speaking on the Talk Sports program on Wednesday evening and responding to questions about more women's involvement in leadership positions in sports in the Caribbean.
We have to learn to adapt and give up, some space. So that goes for the women as well, not in terms of allowing women in to bring ideas from a different perspective, as well as younger men. Otherwise we will become stagnated. I'm just looking at it from that perspective, in terms of term limits and in terms of changing and getting those percentages up.
She says term limits and adaptation to the changing world to include new blood to introduce reinvigorated and new ideas within organizations must be pursued.
Unless you are re-educating and continuing to educate yourself, you will not. And in fact, a very big businessman told me recently, when I actually chatted to him about the possibility of this just recently, days before the election. The whole point about it is that he says, you have to hand over, because at his age, what can he bring to the table again? He's saying this, and he's a big businessman on several boards. So
Cricket, Lovely Cricket takes on a different format this weekend as official matches in the St. Mark's T20 tournament goes on a break.
There have been no competition matches this weekend in the Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell sponsored St. Mark's Cricket League. However, there'll be 2 games featuring Old Boys this weekend. The first on Saturday, we'll see Old Boys coming up against a visiting over 40 team from Trinidad. And then again on Sunday, they will battle against a visiting over 40 team from England. The games are at the St. George Park in Victoria, beginning at 1 p.m.
Still with local cricket, the St. Andrews Cricket League T20 competition moves to the round of 8 this weekend. At Round 1, Tivoli Cricket Club will be taking on Idler Sports, while Pearls Cricket Club comes up against La Portrie at Ground 2. Over in Fort Which's Ground 3, Moncton Cricket Club will face off against Union Cricket Club, and at Ground 4, Union Munich Cricket Club is scheduled to take on Idler's Youths. That's it for sports. Up next is regional and international news. Hundreds of people have protested in the British Virgin Islands against a proposal to put the overseas British territory under the direct control of the United Kingdom. The rally came days after the BVI premier was arrested in the U.S. on drug-related charges.
One day after UK Overseas Minister Amanda Milling arrived in the territory on Sunday to discuss these recommendations, protests erupted, with hundreds gathering outside the official residence of Governor John Rankin in Tortola on Monday to signal their opposition to the imposition of direct rule by the UK for 2 years, perhaps the most consequential of Commissioner Sir Gary Hickenbottom's recommendations. This suggestion has been decried by many in the BVI as a return to colonialism, much as it was in the TCI, with the Caribbean already a repository of negative sentiment towards the British Crown and the UK generally, following 2 roundly criticized visits by members of the royal family to the region. The protests in the BVI only serve to ramp up the critical rhetoric against Britain, accusing the UK government of running roughshod over democracy in its overseas territory. Protest organizer Bishop John Alvin Klein of the New Life Baptist Church told local reporters that the demonstration was meant to send a message to authorities in the UK that the population would not stand for the removal of self-governance after 70 years and will not tolerate being denied the opportunity of having a democratically elected government. Quote, "We want the opportunity to go back to the polls and elect a democratic government to rule over us," Bishop Klein said. But this colonialist mindset that you will tell us what to do is wrong, unjust, and we will not stand for it. In his report, Sir Gary concluded that the ongoing and severe deficits in good governance practices over several administrations would not be addressed by a simple change in elected officials, but needed to be completely rooted out from the entire political culture in the territory. He argued that elected officials seemed not only to ignore, but to actively encourage the dysfunction in government, and argued that a temporary return to direct rule from the UK was the only way to effectively address the deep-seated issues in the territory.
Having not made a contribution during the lower house's debate on the appropriation bill, St. Lucia's leader of the opposition, Alan Chastanet, instead took to the airwaves to deliver his presentation. The opposition leader let it be known that he was not afraid of being probed by the special prosecutor announced by the government to look into allegations of corruption.
With talk of a special prosecutor to probe alleged acts of corruption during his tenure, leader of the opposition, Alan Chastanet, has made it clear that his administration was above board. He made the comment during Tuesday night's address on the 2022-2023 budget. Chastanet is adamant that the former UWP administration made policy decisions that were in the best interests of the nation, something which he says the current government is not doing.
What we're dealing with here is an intellectually dishonest and morally bankrupt government that has the audacity to seek to tarnish the names and reputations of its citizens. the Prime Minister continues to make reference to the issue of corruption and the rule of law and democracy, with talk of a special prosecutor who we assume will be attached to the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. In the meantime, the Prime Minister, with no proof, calls out members of my administration and ignores the evidence of blatant wrongdoing within his own camp. United Workers' Party has never been afraid of being investigated or being held accountable.
In his presentation, the opposition leader reiterated calls to the government to provide economic relief to citizens, accusing them of causing havoc in households and businesses because of its recent policy decisions.
Now we must all ask ourselves, who will hold the SLP government accountable?
In his assessment of the Philip Pierre administration's maiden budget, Chasney gave it a failing grade, stating it was void of clarity, confidence, and conviction.
Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky has called for a longer ceasefire in order to evacuate more civilians from the battered city of Mariupol in southern Ukraine as Russia intensifies its assault on the Azovstal steel plant, the last holdout of Ukrainian forces there.
Ukrainian fighters have been holding out in underground bunkers in the sprawling steelworks for months. For the past few days, it's been the scene of heavy fighting as Russian forces try to capture the last pocket of resistance in this strategically important city. But despite running out of food and ammunition, the soldiers say they've no intention of surrendering.
Mariupol's garrison for 70 days has resisted the overwhelming forces of the enemy by itself. Since the 25th of April, we have held a circular defence of the Azovstal plant. It is the second day the enemy has broken through into the plant. There are heavy, bloody battles.
But it's not just soldiers holed up here. Hundreds of civilians remain trapped. Others have been evacuated in recent days, but Ukraine's president is appealing for help to get those who remain to safety.
Today I spoke to UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, and we discussed what we have already achieved and what is still necessary to do to save Mariupol and the defenders of Mariupol city. There is not a single day that I and my team wouldn't do this, and I'm grateful to everybody who helps.
Russia has promised a ceasefire, 3 more days to allow the last of the women and children to escape. If the promise is kept, it may be their final opportunity before the Russians move in to end resistance in Mariupol once and for all.
That's it for regional and international news. Beverly is up next with a recap of the headlines.
We have to leave you now, but first a reminder of the main news. Police Commissioner vows to take action against lawmen found guilty of sexual harassment of female officers.
Coast Guard officers sent on leave pending the outcome of investigations into the death of Kimon Bell.
The National Democratic Congress outlines pension payment plans if elected into government.
Prime Minister Mitchell calls for collaboration to tackle national issues.
Regionally, residents of the British Virgin Islands protest in the streets to condemn a UK direct rule plan.
Internationally, Ukrainian President Zelensky calls for longer truce to evacuate Mariupol civilians.
And in the sports news, Brunswick United emerged champions in the Co-op Bank Karakou T20 tournament. Congratulations to them. If you missed any part of this newscast, the repeat of it will be broadcast at 10 o'clock tonight.
Continue to follow us online at gbn.gd or on GBN Television Facebook page and YouTube channel for these and other top stories. I'm Beverly Telesford.
I'm Kenroy Baptiste. That's the news. Stay tuned for continued programming on the Grenada Broadcasting Network.